Would you look at that? There's a new Dark Elf build on the block, and it's all about Mama Morathi getting her belly button tickled by a spiky tail. The fact that she's into that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Now, the idea of stacking buffs and debuffs is not a new one, obviously, but this particular build does seem to be gaining in popularity, so we're gonna see how it matches up against the Green Tide, as Socks for Hands commands Wurrzag da Great Green Prophet, and the Savage Wa, while Jix commands the Dark Elves. There are a lot of ways to play this particular head-to-head scenario for both sides, but Wurrzag is on his home turf in the Badlands, so at the very least, he's got the refs on his side. For the Dark Elves, we're looking at a Footlord Goon Squad, and this is actually a relatively tame version of the auras you can stack, because there's a Bloodrack Shrine and Charybdis and a lot of other tools for manipulating morale, but in this case, it's about shutting down enemy melee prowess, which makes a lot of sense when you're worried about the rushing potential of the Green Tide. Enchanting Beauty and Heartrender and the Dark Sword stacking together, really annoying in and of itself, but then you get power from Darkness and Soul Stealer, and you can just melt blobs by casting the Drain over and over and over again. Death Hag on foot, very solid but squishy duelist, and she has the Chill Blade, subtracting melee attack from nearby enemies and slowing them as well. And then we have the new kid on the block, the Master, with Helm of Many Eyes, granting plus armor and MA for nearby allies, and the Guardian Aura to keep the other characters survivable with physical resistance. So, synergy should be readily apparent. Minus 23 melee attack and a constant AoE, whole battle, while making your own squad way tankier than normal, which is real nice. Actually, not a melee rush type of build at all, though. Jix is going to try and spread the field here with a highly mobile army, a kite army, Corsair handbows, and a lot of cav, which is smart, because it mitigates one of the biggest weaknesses of this type of build, getting your infantry blown up by AoE spells when you're trying to capitalize on the auras provided by your lord. On the flip side, Greenskins might have expected the Goon Squad because they've employed the time-honored tradition of running away, famous Fabian tactics, a heavy ranged emphasis to deny combat for as long as possible, use a ton of magic missiles like Vindictive Glare and Gaze of Morkin. Also, just spread the field like the Dark Elves, so there won't be much crumping here, but there will be lots of Daka. And of course, when you're talking about Wurrzag da Great Green Prophet, you've got Effigy of Dagit, Foot of Gork, Gaze of Mork, and all that stuff. So, we've got some skirmish right at the start here. Spiders and Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, and a lot of Blackheart Corsair handbows. We'll be trading blow for blow across the beaten zone. Scourge Runner Chariot's going to be pretty annoying for the Greenskins to deal with, but they don't really have any high-value targets to shoot at. If you look at what the Greenskins have brought, they just have some cheap Borcav and just a really wide build that's highly mobile. That's it. There's not a lot of high-value stuff like a Shelob, a Ragnarok Queen, or a Giant or anything to get shot up. So they're fine to send these goblins in the front ranks and just get destroyed by frontal charges and by skirmish fire. It's gonna happen. There's not a whole lot the Greenskins can do about that because they don't want to take a cav fight right at the start. But they do have some tools for shutting down this early cavalry aggression from the Dark Elves, and one of the best ones is Effigy of Dagit into Foot of Gork. It's a beautiful alley-oop combo, and it will destroy the Slaanesh's Harvesters, who probably got a little bit overzealous looking at those night combos, and they said, okay, I want to eat you for dinner, but they forgot what Wurrzag can do. He's got some great combos for deleting cavalry from the game. That's a pretty great way to start. Doomfire Warlocks did get their Soul Stealer off, though, so we might see them return. The Warlord's boys are running as WAP pops. They got beaten up, so did the 8-peak loonies. Both of them got shish kebab by charges at the beginning of this game, so I'd say overall that's a relatively even trade from both sides. Lost an elite cavalry unit, but two pretty important Greenskin infantry units are already depleted. And like I said, the Greenskins have not invested much in the infantry game at all, so they're going to want to have those RORs come late game to provide some kind of front line. The Master, the Death Hag, and Morathi are running away. They are also denying battle, and we're getting a ton of focus fire from both the Druki and the Green Tide. So this is not something you see every day. Pure skirmish play from both sides. Vindictive Glare will come out and will smack Morathi in the ass, but gonna do almost no damage whatsoever. And remember, she went Power from Darkness and Soul Stealer with no other spells. That means she's just trying to cast that as much as possible, and we're gonna see an Itchy Nuisance go down. With Morathi, when she's got just those two spells, she can easily get 5 or 6 casts throughout the course of a game, which can get her to the healing cap relatively easily. So we'll want to keep an eye on that. Looks like after that Itchy Nuisance went down, Greenskins tried to catch up, get into melee, and capitalize on that AoE spell. Not gonna happen. Another magic missile hit the Master. but they're not going to be able to fight inside the AoE of that spell. And just as it wears off, Greenskins are going right in, trying to charge into the Dark Elf handbows, not able to do it, and they all miss their charge bonus, and this is where it can get extremely dangerous for the Greenskins. Soulstealer going down and hitting all 3 Boar Boy units. They did not get their charge bonus off. Cold One Knights are going to overlap the engagement and get their charge bonus off. Word of Pain is completely nullifying the melee attack of the Boar Boys in the front ranks. And Foot of Gork is about to go down and will destroy Slaanesh's Harvesters and a unit of Cold One Knights. Another great cast of that spell, and a lot of elite Dark Elf cavalry is gone, but this is still a favorable engagement for the Druchii. The rest of the Cold One Knights are going to beat up on the Boar Boys, especially when you're talking about that minus 23 melee attack aura where, I mean, you're talking about the Greenskin front line here, everything engaged, it is actually hitting at 0 melee attack. They just have the base chance to hit, that's it. One of the units has 8 melee attack. I mean, what are you supposed to do in that kind of fight? You basically just die, and that's what we're seeing here. Wherever Morathi, the Death Hag, and the Master tread, death will follow. The Greenskins are going to get sliced apart, and it is not going to be fun for anything that piles into that fight. So I would argue just get the hell away from there. Effigy of the Git will give the Rusty Heirs a bit more time to escape, and I think the Socks for Hands is making the right play, which is to say, run the hell away. Ignore Morathi, ignore the Master, ignore the Death Hag, and just focus on getting rid of all their mobile elements, because you can't deal with them with the Hero Goon Squad until the late game. What you have to do, what you absolutely must do from here on out, is avoid blobbing the way we saw those Boar Boys do it right there. It got nasty for them, and things are not going to get any easier because Morathi is nowhere near running out of Winds of Magic, and they're all full HP, so she's still got a lot of her healing cap left to work with, too. Cold One Knights rampage into the Savage Orc Air Boys, and even though they don't have great stats, they should be able to beat up the remainder of that Elite Knight unit, especially with the Boar Boys coming over to support. And a nice surround on the Scourge Runner Chariots. I actually have no idea how that fight would go. Murderous Prowess has pop, so Scourge Runner might be okay, but they're completely surrounded, so I would think the Forest Goblin Spider Riders should be able to drag it down, just like these Cold One Knights are being dragged down. Greenskins are avoiding the Hero Goon Squad for now, although the Nasty Skulkers might be looking to charge in, dropping a fat, steamy dookie on the Druchii's front lawn. Enchanting Beauty and Heartrender and the Dark Sword will make it a nightmare to try to deal any damage to Morathi, and even if you do manage to get some good hits on her, she's just going to Soulstealer it, and every time she casts it, whether she hits the enemy or not, she gets 400 HP back. So, and when you talk about 5 or 6 casts of that, that adds up quite tremendously over the course of a battle. Itchy Nuisance goes down, will lower their melee effectiveness as the sneaky stabbers pile in. She's like, you guys are gross, I don't care about you, I've got more important targets to worry about. I think what she wants to kill are the archers and the night goblins. If she can get rid of all the archers and the ammunition, then shooting her will not be a viable strategy. Another Soulstealer pops is going to hit Wurrzag and the Night Goblin Shaman, which is a pretty good cast. That's exactly what she wants to hit, and it hit a pretty large swath of the Gobbo Tide as well. So the Greenskins are winning over on their left flank, but they're having a lot more trouble where the Hero and Lords are treading. And the Bacon Riders have returned, going right for the Black Art Corsair handbows. But Morathi, she's just surrounded by a bunch of savages, and she cares not. Their melee attack is pretty close to 0, and Savage Orcs wouldn't be able to do particularly well against her anyway. They are the Big Gun variant, so they are better than normal Big Guns, but this Goon Squad is so potent. It is so powerful when you're not talking about, say, a Black Orc rush. If these were Black Orcs, I'd say these Foot Lords, Foot Heroes would be struggling quite a bit more than they are now, but with the low armor and everything that they're fighting, without Wab Pop, they just can't get any good hits on them. But Wurrzag, he's doing the same thing, showing the Dark Elves what real mounted shock tactics are like. He's got Spleen Rope at the Boar, he's got his Squiggly Beast, he's got the blessings of Gork and Mork, and these Black Art Corsair handbows, they just don't have any chance of beating him in CQB. But if they put on guard mode, they might get some point-blank volleys in, which would make things a little bit scarier. Nice charge coming in from the Boar Boys. into the rest of these Black Arc units over on this side. And some nice shots coming in from behind, too. This should be enough to see off these annoying foot skirmishers. Yep, they just broke, but the War Boys broke, too. And I think at this point, the Greenskins have lost all of their cavalry, but I'm not sure it really matters. There's very little skirmish power or mobility left for the Druki on the field. It's all focused on this Pimp Squad, who are putting on an exquisite, blood-drenched display for their war god Cain. Many sacrifices in his name this day, and Wurrzag's army have shown no ability to stop their rampage up to this point. Things are getting real tenuous for the Savage Orcs, no question about it, and every time they try to fight them and bring them down, they end up running. So it's looking a little bit dangerous for the Greenskins up to this point, but the magic missile play is a smart way to start plunking them down. The Death Hag is starting to get a little bit low, down past half HP, as the Greenskins hunt down the majority of the rest of the Dark Elf army. So what we've got is a Death Hag, a Master, and Morathi running around in a scary-ass goon squad, and it's all up to Socks for Hands for figuring out a way to stop their mindless violence. Soul Stealer going down for the third time this game from Morathi, I believe. You can see the Death Hag really starting to look a little bit bloodied after the magic missile play and just getting ground down. She does have, I think, 40% physical resistance, or maybe like 35 when she's getting supported by the Guardian Aura. I think she has 15 or 20% base because she is a Witch Elf technically. But yeah, I mean, look, she's been fighting in melee this entire game, probably pretty close to 100 kills. She's made back her cost and then some, and that Chill Blade has also, of course, made it much more effective for the Master and Morathi to fight in melee too. She does have low base melee defense, which is the biggest issue she faces, and that's why she's taken the majority of the damage in this grinded out fight. Where Morathi and the Master have high melee defense, she has low, and now she is the first to break, and Wurrzag is on the hunt, and no mercy, no quarter, no respite will be shown for the girl that was blending the Greenskin infantry the majority of this battle. She will be decapitated, her head will be left on the ground, and Spleen Rippa will feast on it this day. That is grotesque and brutal, but that is warfare. That is Warhammer in a nutshell. Doesn't matter how hot you are, you can still get your head chopped off. Think about it. Mushrooms don't care if you're a hot dude or a hot chick. They just want to fight. They just want to crump. And they've been doing some crump in this battle. So what do we have left? We have Wurrzag, who's real low, and he needs to be pretty careful. Both the Master and Morathi have halberds, armor-piercing, bonus for large halberds, so Wurrzag does not want to do that again, because he could just throw the game if he tries to do it one more time. Skirmishing them down might be the only available play left for the Green Tide. It is literally just the Dark Queen herself and her boy toy. That's pretty much it. The rusty airs are there, but they don't have any ammunition left. There's a Soul Stealer. It's gonna get Morathi pretty much back up to full. That's the fourth one she's cast, I think. And she still has Winds of Magic, which is insane. Oh my god. Wurrzag, thought me gone. Get out of my face. Just knocked her over. But they're still trying to get in. And I think what the Dark Elves need to do at this point, there's not much to micro, obviously, but I think they're right to go after the one arch unit that actually has ammunition. And then bait in Wurrzag when he tries to go in for the rear charge. Attack. See if he makes a micro mistake. Bonsmar is in favor of the Druki. And it's not even the full picture yet, because Morathi still has more Soul Stealers. That means she still has more effective HP. They're going to try to get one more volley in. Not going to happen. I don't think any actually died in that attack. Heartrender and the Dark Sword did not slay any this day. But the Greenskins are just trying to knock them over. Just be a nuisance and give the archers time, because a point-blank volley from them might be the most effective way to deal some damage. And getting a full surround off with Wurrzag and the Night Goblin Shaman. No, that's actually super lucky, but a really cool play from the Greenskins. That charge knocked Morathi away from the Master, and now they are no longer fighting back-to-back. They're swarming, Greenskins are jumping on top, and they're trying to capitalize on what was definitely not intentional, but it's worked out very nicely if you're Wurrzag here. The Master is by himself and fighting 2 characters. Morathi was over here. No way the Greenskins win this fight, but she's tied down in the background. Master is beginning to take some damage. She's trying to push her way over, and now they've got a full surround off on Morathi. Still, the balance bar is shifted even further in the Dark Elves' favor. The Night Goblin Shaman is about to break, but Wurrzag has 340 AP damage, gets in, gets a rear attack, and that might be enough to make the Master rout, and that will leave Morathi completely isolated, completely unprotected, no longer with her Guardian Aura. She gets tossed around yet again. Night Goblin Shaman will make sure this Master does not come back, and now it is all up to Morathi. Does she have another Soul Stealer? Does she have one more cast to nuke the blob and carry the victory? She's fully surrounded, and it looks like she might break. She's been a monster this game, but even monsters can have their salad tossed, and in the end, it was all just a little bit too much for the Death Star to handle. 197 kills, 123 kills, 70 kills. That goon squad was so potent and so scary, but socks for hands, despite a relatively large cavalry misplay where the Boar Boys just completely missed everything. Got really blobbed up and hit with a massive Soul Stealer. Despite that misplay, managed to spread the field really well, skirmish down the opposition, outrange them, outmaneuver them, get a full surround off on the characters, and in the end, with some good cycle charging from Wurrzag and Spleen Rippa, Wurrzag and the Savage Orcs are able to take it. Really well played, really interesting game, and it's very interesting to see how the Dark Elves have kind of jumped on this train, this stacking aura train. We've seen stuff with the Bloodrack Shrine, the Charybdis. There are ways for them to manipulate morale extremely efficiently with Doom and Darkness, and Abyssal Howl. And Morathi has obviously been a huge part of the meta for a very long time. She's an exceptional lord, but to see this Foot Lord meta start to rise up with Gotrek and Felix and Morathi and the Death Hag and the Master, it's pretty crazy, and I wonder if going into Game 3, if this will somehow become an even bigger facet of multiplayer. Really good game, hope you guys enjoyed.